Lock eyes with this gaze, and you cannot look away. Rage, humiliation, defiance, all blazing from a face so beautiful it seems impossible that it could belong to the most hated being in existence. This is not how evil is supposed to look, and that's exactly what makes it so disturbing. The painting is called The Fallen Angel, created in 1847 by a 24-year-old French artist named Alexandre Cabanel. What he dared to do was revolutionary, controversial, and unforgettable. He painted Lucifer not as a monster, not as a grotesque demon, but as a figure of heartbreaking, devastating beauty. And the question that haunts everyone who sees this painting is simple. Why does the devil look like this? The scene captures a moment frozen in time. Lucifer lies sprawled across a desolate, rocky landscape. His body is sculpted with the perfection of a Greek god, every muscle defined, every line deliberate. His hands are clenched into fists as if he's trying to contain an emotion on the verge of detonating. One hand partially covers his face, but it cannot hide what matters most, those eyes. Above him, the sky still glimmers with divine light. Victorious angels celebrate in the heavens, their forms glowing with celestial triumph. They've won. God has won, and Lucifer has been cast down.
But here's what makes this painting so powerful. Lucifer doesn't look defeated. Not truly. Yes, he's fallen. Yes, he's alone. But look at his eyes. They burn with something far more dangerous than despair. Is it hatred? Is it resentment? Or is it the quiet, simmering fury of someone plotting their next move? Alexandre Cabanel was just 24 years old when he painted this masterpiece. But his rise in the art world had begun much earlier. At only 17, he was accepted into the École des Beaux-Arts, the most prestigious art academy in France. 3 years later, he debuted at the Paris Salon, the most influential art exhibition of the entire 19th century. For any artist, exhibiting at the Salon was a career-defining achievement. For someone barely out of adolescence, it was extraordinary. Like many promising French artists of his generation, Cabanel traveled to Rome to study the masters. It was there, surrounded by Renaissance frescoes and classical sculpture, that he began working on The Fallen Angel.
Interestingly, an earlier study for this painting still exists, and it reveals a crucial evolution in Cabanel's vision. In that preliminary version, many elements were already in place: Lucifer's posture, the rocky terrain, the angels floating in the golden sky above. But something essential was missing. In the early study, Lucifer appears completely defeated. His head is bowed, his gaze is cast downward, one hand rests on his forehead in a gesture of utter despair. He looks broken. But when Cabanel completed the final version, everything changed. Lucifer no longer looks away. Instead, he stares directly at us. His eyes meet ours with a cocktail of emotions: fury, bitterness, and something darker that's harder to name. This single change transformed the painting from a depiction of defeat into something far more unsettling, a portrait of defiance. Other details also evolved. The clouds in the final work are darker and more oppressive, reinforcing the dramatic weight of the scene. Thorny branches appear at Lucifer's feet, absent in the earlier study, symbolizing his fall into a cursed world.
Every inch of this painting reveals the influence of Cabanel's time in Rome. Lucifer's body is modeled after classical sculpture. His musculature, his proportions, his idealized anatomy, all of it recalls the heroes of Greek mythology rendered in marble. He could be Apollo, he could be Achilles, but he's not. He's the fallen angel, and that contradiction is precisely the point. The angels floating in the background reflect the elegance of Italian Renaissance art. Their poses and aerial compositions echo the refinement of Raphael, the master of celestial beauty. Cabanel absorbed everything he saw in Italy and channeled it into this single, explosive image. What he created was not just technically brilliant, it was iconographically radical. Traditional depictions of Lucifer showed a grotesque, monstrous figure. Claws, wings, horns, everything designed to repel. Cabanel did the opposite. He painted an angel caught in the terrifying moment between what he was and what he will become. Still beautiful, still divine, but already damned. Every inch of this painting reveals the influence of Cabanel's time in Rome. Lucifer's body is modeled after classical sculpture. His musculature, his proportions, his idealized anatomy, all of it recalls the heroes of Greek mythology rendered in marble. He could be Apollo, he could be Achilles, but he's not. He's the fallen angel, and that contradiction is precisely the point. The angels floating in the background reflect the elegance of Italian Renaissance art. Their poses and aerial compositions echo the refinement of Raphael, the master of celestial beauty. Cabanel absorbed everything he saw in Italy and channeled it into this single, explosive image. What he created was not just technically brilliant, it was iconographically radical. Traditional depictions of Lucifer showed a grotesque, monstrous figure. Claws, wings, horns, everything designed to repel. Cabanel did the opposite. He painted an angel caught in the terrifying moment between what he was and what he will become. Still beautiful, still divine, but already damned.
Despite its technical mastery and emotional depth, the fallen angel did not receive the reception Cabanel had hoped for. When he presented it at the Paris Salon in 1847, it was met with skepticism and harsh criticism. In a letter to a friend, Cabanel expressed his frustration. He wrote that after all the effort he had poured into creating something exceptional, this was his reward: indifference and disapproval. But why? Why did such a striking painting generate controversy instead of admiration? First, the subject matter was considered too ambitious for such a young artist. Academy students were expected to paint modest compositions, safe subjects. Lucifer, a monumental, emotionally charged depiction of the devil's fall? That was supposed to come from an established master, not a 24-year-old upstart.
Second, and more importantly, critics struggled with Lucifer's beauty. His body was too perfect, too idealized, too seductive. Many asked, how could the devil look like this? Evil was supposed to be ugly. Damnation was supposed to deform. But Cabanel's Lucifer looked like a tragic hero from a Greek myth, not a demonic entity. Cabanel, however, saw no contradiction. Beauty could deceive. Morality wasn't always reflected in appearance. And whether he intended it or not, his vision had theological support. In the book of Ezekiel, Satan is described as perfect in beauty. The devil, after all, was the most beautiful of all angels before his fall. Third, the painting's emotional rawness made viewers uncomfortable. While Lucifer's body was rendered with impeccable academic skill, his facial expression, that mix of contained fury and humiliation, felt too intense. It didn't align with the restrained, idealized scenes that dominated French art at the time. Additionally, while the painting's dramatic tone fit the sensibilities of Romanticism, its color palette did not. Many Romantic artists used vibrant colors and theatrical atmospheres. Cabanel chose restraint, cool, dark tones that reinforced Lucifer's isolation and inner torment.
Cabanel didn't create his vision of Lucifer from thin air. He drew from two fundamental sources, the Bible and Paradise Lost by John Milton. The biblical account of Satan's fall appears in the book of Revelation, chapter 12. It describes the war in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting against the great dragon, who is ultimately defeated and cast out, along with his followers. This is the moment Cabanel chose to depict: Lucifer, newly fallen, separated from celestial glory, condemned to the earth below. But beyond Scripture, Cabanel may have found an even richer source in Paradise Lost, the epic poem John Milton published in 1667. Milton's Satan is not a simple villain. He's a complex, charismatic, tragic figure who rebels against divine authority not out of mindless evil, but out of pride and unyielding determination. Milton portrays Satan with psychological depth rarely seen in religious texts. After his fall, Satan proclaims one of literature's most famous lines, "Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven." It's a declaration of defiance that reframes defeat as a twisted form of victory. And that sentiment, that refusal to submit, echoes powerfully in Cabanel's painting. Look again at Lucifer's eyes. Is he defeated? Or is he already planning his rebellion against God's creation? That ambiguity is what makes the painting so haunting. Throughout art history, Lucifer's fall has been depicted in vastly different ways. Compare Cabanel's vision to Satan summoning his legions by Thomas Lawrence, and you'll see a completely different interpretation. Lawrence's Satan is majestic and shadowy, a defiant general rallying his troops in hell, ready to strike back against heaven. Or consider John Martin's Pandemonium, an illustration inspired by Paradise Lost. Martin presents the fall with apocalyptic grandeur. Hell isn't just a place of punishment, it's a kingdom that Satan and his followers will build into their new empire.
So the question remains, how should Lucifer be depicted? Should he be beautiful, like Cabanel's angel, caught between divinity and damnation? Or monstrous, deformed by his wickedness? Is a beautiful devil more terrifying, or is a grotesque one more honest? Perhaps there is no single answer. Perhaps Lucifer's true power lies in his ability to be many things at once, beautiful and hateful, divine and damned, tragic and terrifying. Cabanel understood this. He painted not just a devil, but a question. And that question has haunted viewers for over 170 years. What do you think? How should Satan be represented in art? As a figure of seductive beauty or monstrous horror? As a tragic hero or an irredeemable villain? The answer might say more about us than about him.